Morning you guys, it's Karen and it's time for my evening routine. I just want you to remember that this is an evening skincare routine that is temporary. The things I'm using may end up becoming permanent, and I'll tell you that as we go along, but a lot of things I am testing for you guys. And I know I've addressed it before, but I just want to briefly say, some people are all wondering, you're using so many products, how can you properly review them? But there's different types of reviews. Some of these products I'm testing for you to see if there's any adverse reaction and how they feel on the skin, and then I'll tell you what I think about the ingredients, etc. Others I'm testing for specific results, such as the copper amino isolate, to see what, if anything, it does for wrinkles. And then other things I'm testing and there are no specific results. They're products that I know I love, but they have no specific action, such as the hydration vaccine. That is a hydrator and it works as a hydrator, and that can be used with many other products without disrupting anything. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm not going to talk about makeup removal and toning, etc., because it's exactly the same as it always has been. I use a Garnier 2-in-1 or the LVCE from NIOD that I love to take off my makeup. Then I use a micellar water. I'm not currently included any acids in this routine. I very occasionally use my glycolic acid, but if you use any acids, you're to use them after the copper amino isolate, and I don't really want to interrupt that. I'm trying to do things in as concentrated a way as I can. The first thing I do after my micellar water is I put on my copper amino isolate serum, and I have started using a brush to do this because my last pot, tube, bottle didn't last very long. It lasted 3 weeks and I just thought that that was terrible. But I know that sometimes when I was dripping it on my face, it would go down my chest, and I thought, I don't know how much I wasted of it, and there is only 15 ml in this anyway. So I'm now using it with a brush and that works out pretty well. So that's the first thing I do. It's a very watery product. It doesn't feel amazing on the skin or anything. It's just a product that I'm trying. I put it on my face, then I put it across my eyes with a brush, and then I put it on my neck also. Maybe another reason that it didn't last as long is because I'm also using. What I forgot to tell you was that at the end I'm going to tell you the things that I will be introducing into my routine once all of these things have run out. So for example, this copper amino isolate, this is one of the items I'm testing to see the results. I've already done a first impressions review of this and told you what I think, but I'm testing it over a 6-week period on if it does anything for my eyes. I'm also putting it on my face and seeing if there's any difference. I'm doing before and after pictures, and I'm putting it on my neck and seeing if it does anything for neck texture, wrinkles, lines, etc. This will run out probably in another couple of weeks. I've only just got this new bottle, and at that point I'll be using something else, which I'll tell you about at the end. After putting on the copper amino isolate serum, I would wait 30 seconds for it to absorb, and then I follow with the MMHC. Let me just put that brush down, which is the multi-molecular hyaluronic complex, and I just put a couple of drops of this in my hands and rub it on my face. Normally I like to try and drip it on my face, but I've just found that this is too messy with these products, and this is something that's recommended to use with the copper amino isolate to help it absorb. I'm using this as kind of a hydrator. It's just a product that I really enjoy. I think it feels lovely on the skin, and I think you can never have too much hydration, and so this isn't one that I'm testing specifically for you guys. Again, I've done a review of it, I've said I love it, and it will most likely be in my regime going forward. At this stage I would have put on my neck elasticity catalyst, but obviously I've finished the trialing of that, if you like, and so my final product would be this, and this is the hydration vaccine, which I absolutely adore. I'm interested to see how it smells every time I open it, because it smelt delicious the first time I smelt it, and then the second time it smelt like glue, and now it still does smell like glue, but it's a little bit lighter. But women smell very differently throughout their cycle, and so it's really interesting just to see what the scent of things is, and then obviously you become accustomed to scents and whatnot. Anyway, I love this product, and I always keep the bottle upside down, which is why there was loads coming out there, and use some of that all over my face and on my neck as my night cream. And so that's the last step of my night one routine. So I alternate nights. Okay, this second night is going to be a bit confusing, I apologise, but I wanted to use the copper amino isolate at least once a day for 6 weeks to do this test. But I also want to be trialling the Retinoid and Retinol from The Ordinary for you. Now, when I say trialling them, I'm not trialling them in terms of what they do to the skin, because I don't believe either of those products are enough to show up short-term results. So it's more trialing from the point of view of how do they feel on the skin, is there any bad reactions to them, what I think of the product and how they compare to their original retinol and retinoid products. So what I do in this regime to cover all of those bases is I use the copper amino isolate with the brush over my eyelids and on my neck. So use my micellar water and then copper amino isolate as I did on night 1, but I just miss out my face. I just put it on my eyes and neck. And I actually sometimes, when I remember, use it in the morning just on my face, so that I'm still using it once a day on my face also. So that's step 1. Step 2, as always, is the MMHC, the multi-molecular hyaluronic complex. Then I would go in and use either the retinoid or the retinol that's in Squalane from The Ordinary. But I've been using them independently, so I already tried the retinol and I'm probably ready to review that, and I'm now on to the 5% gram active retinoid, and I'm probably ready to review this as well. So I need to do a review on both of those, but I use them independently. But I didn't use the 1% retinol every other night. That would be too much, I felt, and so I didn't want to do that to start with. So I just, instead of it being every alternate night, I would just continue my night 1 regime for 3 or 4 nights. This is partly why it's taken me so long to do this evening routine, because I felt like it would maybe confuse you more. You know, I think a lot of people would like to see how I use products, but are thinking that it's more of a permanent thing, whereas there's a lot of complexities here, and I know what I'm doing, and I think I can explain it better when I review one product. I can explain exactly how I've used that product and how I've managed to test it, etc., and where I've used it. But within a whole routine, I think it can get a bit confusing. But anyway, hopefully you can follow. You guys asked, so I thought, well, I'll tell them, and hopefully it's not too confusing. So I've used the retinoid in Squalane, and I follow that currently with the Survival Zero instead of the hydration vaccine. The reason I'm using this is because the retinol and retinoid are both in Squalane, so I've got enough hydration and oils and moisture on my skin. I don't feel like I then need to use the hydration vaccine on top of it. And this one is something that I love the ingredients. It's a great antioxidant, but it doesn't give me any moisture. It gives my skin a bit of a dry feeling, a bit of a tight feeling. And so it's perfect to use after using the retinoid or retinol in Squalane. So that's what I've been using as the final step. Just the final complication. I do of course self-tan, and I only self-tan about once a week nowadays. It used to be a lot more. And on the night I self-tan, I use nothing at all. But when I'm testing something, i.e. the copper amino isolate, I would try to use it on that morning, and I would know that I was going to self-tan in the evening. Because I literally just use my micellar water, self-tanner, and that's it. So there is a couple of products here that I'm going to add into my regime to test for you guys and for myself, of course. And there's one item that you haven't heard me mention, which is different, which is a type of retinoid cream. And I was using that, but it was never going to give me short-term results. Like I said, with retinoids, I believe that it's long-term that you'll see the results. And so I didn't want to just complicate things even further by trying to put that into my routine. But that is something that I would, it's not that I don't believe in it, it's just I would really like to use Tretinoin, but we can't easily get hold of it in the UK. I think I can buy it online, and I might well do that at some point, but I'm just not desperate to use that right now because I'm testing other things to see if they are perhaps a quicker, have quicker results. So it's something that might be in my routine eventually. If I run out of things to test, then that's something I would use. I would definitely use it on my neck 100%. To find something like that doesn't irritate, and the differing did not cause me any irritation on my neck at all. It's something I would definitely be happy to do. But I've got 4 products here. You may be surprised at some of these. The first one is for when I stop using the copper amino isolate on my eye and neck. I've got 2 eye and neck, well, 1 eye and 1 neck option. I want to use the NIOD fractionated eye contour concentrate, so I will use this on my eyelids, all around my eyes here. I don't particularly think I'm going to see a huge amount of results from this, to be honest with you, just from looking at the ingredients. I think it will be a nice thing to use. I think it will probably moisturize the area, you know, hydrate the area, but I don't think that it will make much difference to any crow's feet or any hooding or any crepiness. But I'm going to give it a go once the copper amino isolate serum is finished. Then on my neck, this is so funny. Well, funny, not funny, haha, funny strange, I suppose, or funny hypocritical. What's the word? Hypocritical, that was the word I was thinking of. Why hypocritical? Because somebody had left me a comment about this a long, long time ago, and I had said that it sounds great, but it's got alcohol and fragrance in it, so I probably wouldn't use it. I haven't changed my opinion towards alcohol and fragrance. Alcohol is the main one I'd be concerned of using this, because I know from the evidence that it will potentially work and have a wonderful effect on the neck, but deep down it will be doing damage that will show up in another few years. You know, so overall it's kind of causing a vicious circle. But I'm only human, and I have seen a few videos that were very impressive, and the results from using this were extremely impressive. So I was tempted to use it, and the final straw for me was when I saw it on offer in Boots. By the way, this is the Nivea Goodbye Cellulite Serum that has Q10 and L-carnitine in it. I was going to do a whole review video of this for you guys as a kind of first impressions review, which would be comparing ingredients between the US one and the UK one, telling you what I think of the actual ingredient and how it works. And then from there do, you know, the 6-week test once my copper amino isolate is finished. So let me know if you do want me to do a first impressions review of that, and then I can do the follow-up review with photos, etc. in 6 weeks. And it is naughty of me, but you know, nobody's perfect, and I do still believe that the alcohol will do damage, but like I said, I'm overcome with curiosity about it. I have another 2 products here that I would like to put into my regime. This one is the NIOD non-acid acid precursor, and this is the Hylamide Sub-Q Anti-Age. I have tried this one out on my skin just to see what it feels like, if it causes any issues, etc. And I will probably use both of these together after I have finished trialling the Retinoid and Retinol in Squalane. And when I say after I finish trialling them, I think they may well stay in my regime going forward, but there's no reason I couldn't stop them and replace with these to see what these were like and if there was any instant results from these, or you know, I'm not sure exactly how I would put them in, but I can't see why these two couldn't be used together. But I wouldn't want to also be using a Retinol and Retinoid, is what I'm saying. What I'll do is when I'm ready to review this, I'll tell you exactly how and when I put it into my routine, and I'll do the same with this Hylamide Sub-Q Anti-Age, tell you exactly where they came in my routine and how I worked it out, etc. I've got the Flavonone mud as well, which is really interesting. It was part of a set, I should have said, with that non-acid acid precursor. I got that, the Flavonone mud, and the Sanskrit saponins for, I think it was about £60 on QVC as a set. So if you're interested in anything, have a look on QVC and see if it comes in a set, because it could end up being, you know, saving you a lot of money. Okay, that's everything for my evening routine. I will list every single product for you in the description. If you've got any questions, then stick them in the comments below. This, by the way, on my hands is not henna. I wish I could find somebody that did henna, because I would love to have it, and it lasts a lot longer than that. This, which is just a stick-on tattoo. But I will also link this in the description for you. I'll link everything that I've got on my face for you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you.